Hey friend, before we get started, I just want to let you know that you are so strong. You are smarter than you think, and you are capable of doing hard things. I am proud of you. I'm proud of you for pushing through, for continuing on, and we are going to continue big brain status, working our brain muscles, flexing our reading skills as we go in today talking about how we can use the close reading strategy to help us master and understand complex text. Let's get into it. All right, friends. So before we really jump too deep into our close reading strategy, I first want to talk about the purpose, okay? So when we think about close reading, we often think about rereading the text, and we often think about annotating or taking notes on the text. We might think about highlighting the text, right? When we think about close reading, we think about going back and looking at this text multiple times. But that is not actually the purpose of close reading. I might read a text and I might have to go back and reread paragraph 1, 2, or 3 times before I really understand what the paragraph is saying. Where someone else might read that same paragraph and they might understand it on the first read. So I am not going to say that that person has to reread the paragraph just because they're close reading. When I close read, I'm not reading to reread. I'm not reading to take notes. I'm not reading to highlight. The thing I am reading for, the purpose of my reading is to understand the text. That is my whole purpose. The purpose of close reading, of looking closely at a text, of going back and rereading, of making notes and highlighting things is to make sure that we understand what the text is saying. If we read a text and we don't really understand what the text is saying, then it's kind of like we didn't read the text in the first place. So we want to make the best use of our reading experiences, making sure we completely understand what the text is saying. So this strategy we're going to talk about today, it uses the letters in close. It's an acronym. So it takes each letter of close to give us some strategies or some tips as we are close reading. So the first part here of close reading is to closely examine the text. So when I am closely examining the text, this is before I start reading, and I am looking at the text, seeing the things that I notice, and going ahead and starting to put some things together, activating my background knowledge before I even read. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the title. What's the title of the text? The title usually helps us to think about the main idea of a text. So if I have a nonfiction text, if I have a text that is titled, Do You Get Enough Sleep, right? And I look at this text, I can start to think, okay, I know when I have felt like I have not gotten enough sleep, I know how that's made my body feel. Sometimes I feel tired. I know when you don't get enough sleep, your body can feel tired. You can feel like exhausted or irritable. I'm already starting to think about this topic. And I'm putting some things together in my mind. Do you get enough sleep? Well, maybe the passage is going to answer that question. How much sleep is required for each person? Okay. So I'm looking at the title. I'm activating my background knowledge, thinking about what I already know based on what's in the title. The next thing I'm going to do is think about the genre. Okay. So as we are focusing on genre, we're really going to focus in on the main two here, the overarching genres, fiction and nonfiction. So I know fiction is fake and nonfiction is real. Okay, so I'm asking myself, based on what I see, not even reading the text yet, do I think this text is fiction or fake? I'm sorry, is it fiction or nonfiction? Okay, so I'm going to think about the genre, and then I'm also going to think about the structure. The structure of the text. So I know different text structures are written in different ways. For example, I know a poem is written using lines and stanzas. It is very heavy in imagery and repetition. I know there's sometimes rhyme in poems. I know that a poem usually has like a strong tone. So thinking about the structure of a poem, I can already start to guide my thinking, like, what figurative language do I notice in this poem? What do I think the theme of the poem is? I can start to think about those things as I am preparing my brain to start reading. I know a story, right? A story is going to have story elements. So, character, setting, theme, plot. I can start to ask myself, who are the characters? What is happening? What's the plot? What's the problem and the solution in the story? How does the character change? What does the character learn? That's my theme. I can start thinking about these things as I'm reading the text. I might also have just like a article, right? Like a nonfiction article or passage that is more focused on like giving me some information or some details about a specific topic. It could be a nonfiction article that's telling me about a topic or persuading me of something in particular. When I have an article or this more nonfiction type of text, I am going to ask myself different questions. I'm not asking about character or theme. I'm asking, what's the main idea? And I'm going to ask, what are some supporting details that support that main idea? How does the author prove the main idea? What reasons and evidence does the author use to prove their point? So as I am reading and thinking about text structure, the structure is going to help me to know what questions I need to be asking myself as I read. I'm also going to look for hold on, y'all. I'm also going to look for text features. This is going to be really heavy in nonfiction text, okay? So when I'm looking at the text features, I know my text features often relate to my main idea. So going back to that example of, do you get enough sleep? If I am looking at this text and I am looking for text features, I see a diagram, right? I see a diagram and it's a illustration of the human body, and there's labels there that are pointing to different parts of the body and explaining how sleep affects those parts. Well, do you get enough sleep? I see a diagram that's talking about the effects of lack of sleep on the body. I'm starting to put these things together so that I can do step 3. So step 2 was looking for text features. Step 3 is observe the main idea. Okay? So I can start to think, based on these things that I've noticed, what is this text mostly about? What is this text going to be about? When I have a fiction text, I'm thinking, who is the character? What is happening? Okay. When I have a nonfiction text, I'm thinking, what is the topic and what is the author's point? So I am putting together the things that I notice when I am reading a nonfiction text, y'all. The main idea is going to come pretty quick. The main idea is typically in the introduction of a nonfiction text. So when I am reading, I can pretty quickly spot the main idea, especially if I've done these 2 pre-reading things here. These things are done before I really start reading the text. If I have done step 1 and step 2, where I closely examine the text and look for text features, observing the main idea should be pretty easy. Okay, so I can see that pretty early on in a nonfiction text. In a fiction text, the main idea is really going to focus on my characters and what is happening. That might take just a little bit longer to figure out, because I know inside of a fiction text, the author usually has the beginning of the story. We call that the exposition, right? So here I'm going to draw a narrative arc for us, okay? Beginning, middle, end. Here is my exposition. This is kind of like setting up the story. I get to know who the characters are, where the story is taking place. I get to know kind of what's going on. And then this is when really our action starts, right? We start to know what the problem is. We have a big moment in the story. And then towards the end, we get our solution. So we don't really get deep into like what the main idea is until we read just a little further in nonfiction text, but we still can figure it out. Once we have really kind of figured out our main idea, or we're situating ourselves with the characters and what is happening, we can seek some supporting details. So how does the author support or explain the main idea? So if I have a fiction text and the main idea is about a girl named Sally and her sister Mary Ann playing soccer at their cousin's house, and they lose the ball, okay? That's what the story's about. The supporting details is going to be all the things that happen in between. How does that issue get solved? Where if I have, how do I sleep? Or, I'm sorry, do you get enough sleep? Let's say, we'll stick with that example. In that text, I can go ahead and I'm thinking, okay, the main idea is that sleep is important to the human body. So how does the author prove that? Well, sleep helps our body to rest and renew. Sleep helps our brains to get ready for the next day. Sleep helps our bodies to fight off sickness and diseases. I'm thinking about how is the author proving that? What supporting details does the author give that shows how sleep helps us? The last thing we are going to do is explain. Well, not the last, because these things do not actually have to happen in order. These two really are like pre-reading. And my other things here might happen a little mixed up, or they might be happening all at the same time, okay? But here I'm going to be explaining the text. So as I read, I am highlighting, I am taking notes, and I'm thinking about the major points or what is going on in the text. This is where I'm checking my understanding. So I'm making sure I understand each part of the text, y'all. I am making sure that as I read, when I hear the author making a different point or bringing up a different reason or example or supporting detail, I might make a note of that. I might circle that. I might highlight it so that I know what's going on. And when I do this, because remember, our whole purpose, our whole goal is to understand the text. So this is helping me to make sure that I understand all the good, juicy details that the author is giving me. All right, you guys, so I hope that this close reading strategy helps you to activate your background knowledge, to dig deep into the text, and to understand what is going on. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I will see you next time. Mwah.